You've been doing what people say to do. You've been showing up, posting, pitching, applying, following up, tightening your budget, trying to be smart with money and responsible with your future. And still, something feels stuck. Not just your bank account, your momentum. Like you're pushing a heavy door that used to open with one hand, and now it won't move, no matter how hard you lean. So you start turning the pressure up, because pressure is what you were taught to trust. If it's slow, push harder. If it's quiet, get louder. If it's not working, make it work. You add more hours, more effort, more urgency. You try to outwork the silence, and the silence stays. It's one of the most unsettling feelings in the world, because money isn't abstract when it's your rent, your groceries, your safety, your ability to breathe without fear. When money feels stuck, your nervous system starts interpreting time as threat. Every day that doesn't move forward feels like evidence. Every slow week feels like a verdict. Every unanswered email starts sounding like rejection, even if nobody rejected you. So let me ask you the question that changes the whole interpretation. What if your money feels stuck because you're not in a failure? You're in a season. What if the thing you're calling blocked is actually your earning cycle shifting into contraction, and your life is asking you to consolidate instead of perform? If you're in it right now, it doesn't feel poetic. It feels personal. It feels like you're behind. Like everyone else is moving, and you're standing still, watching the world keep spending while you calculate what you can postpone. You might be doing that quiet math in your head all day. What can I cut? What can I delay? What can I survive without? You might be smiling through conversations while a part of you is scanning for danger, because money pressure turns even normal moments into background stress, and the shame has a way of slipping in, especially if you've been the capable one, the one who handles it, the one who doesn't ask for help, the one who figured it out before. When things slow down, you don't just feel the financial weight, you feel the identity weight. Like you're not allowed to be the person who struggles. Like you should have planned better, saved more, worked earlier, moved faster, so you start negotiating with yourself the way people do when they're afraid. Just get through this month. Just keep pushing until it turns. Just don't stop. Just don't fall behind. Just don't let anyone see. And even if you're not saying it out loud, there's often a deeper fear hiding under all that effort. What if this isn't temporary? What if the life I built isn't stable? What if I'm not as secure as I thought? That fear is loud because it's trying to protect you, but it also makes you do the exact thing that drains you most: overforce. Overforcing doesn't create rhythm, it creates depletion, and depletion is expensive. There's another possibility most people never consider, because we live in a world that worships constant output. Sometimes money slows down because your cycle is demanding refinement. Sometimes income pauses because your life is recalibrating what you can actually sustain. Sometimes the stuck feeling is not the end of your progress. It's the compression that happens right before a shift. Energy and seasonal cycles is the lens that names this without blaming you. It says you're earning life, like your body, moves in phases. There are expansion seasons where you can grow quickly, take on more, feel momentum, feel yeses come easier. And there are contraction seasons where the world feels tighter, your capacity narrows, your timing changes, and the lesson becomes different. Stabilize, consolidate, conserve, repair. The reason this matters is simple. When you misread a contraction season as personal failure, you respond with panic. And panic makes you do things that sabotage your long-term wealth. Discount yourself out of fear. Take on misaligned work that drains you. Accept unfair conditions to keep cash flowing. Burn your health to maintain appearances. Spend energy you don't actually have. But when you recognize a contraction season as a real phase, you stop treating it like punishment and start treating it like instruction. You stop trying to force summer in the middle of winter. You stop demanding harvest from soil that is asking to recover. This is not about giving up. It's about learning timing. Because wealth isn't only built by effort. Wealth is built by rhythm. And if your money feels stuck right now, it may be because your life is trying to teach you how to build in a way that doesn't require you to bleed to prove you deserve stability. Energy and seasonal cycles isn't a trendy metaphor. It's a survival logic older than modern money. Early agricultural calendars were basically wealth plans. They taught communities that you cannot plant, harvest, and feast all at once, forever. There were seasons for labor and seasons for rest, seasons for storing and seasons for spending, seasons for risk and seasons for protection. People who ignored those rhythms didn't just lose comfort, they lost their future. You can also hear this rhythm in Taoist philosophy, in the movement between yin and yang, not as personality types, but as forces of life. There's outward motion and inward motion, heating and cooling, expansion and consolidation. The wisdom wasn't choose one and stay there. The wisdom was knowing which force is present and moving with it so you don't exhaust yourself fighting the nature of the moment. And across many indigenous knowledge systems, seasonal awareness was never aesthetic. It was relational. It shaped how communities worked, stored, shared, migrated, and protected resources. It honored that scarcity and abundance both have teachings, and that wise people don't confuse a quiet season with a cursed season. They treat it as a time to listen, repair, and prepare. Bring that forward into modern wealth, and the pattern becomes painfully clear. We're trained to live like it's always expansion, always growth, always more. And when contraction arrives, slow sales, fewer opportunities, delayed promotions, quieter clients, tighter markets, we treat it like an emergency. We act like our worth is on trial. But cycles don't care about your shame. Cycles care about sustainability. You can see this in real life everywhere. You see it in entrepreneurship. A business can have a strong season where demand is high and money moves fast. And then a quieter season hits. The owner panics, assumes they're failing, and starts throwing offers at people like lifeboats. Discounts, bundles, endless extra value, late nights, frantic marketing. Sales might bump briefly, but the business gets weaker because the owner trained their audience to wait for desperation pricing and train themselves to associate contraction with self-erasure. You see it in corporate life too. A person can be on a growth track, promotions, momentum, recognition, and then a structural shift happens. Budget freezes, reorgs, leadership changes, industry tightening. Suddenly, the ladder that looked stable becomes fog. The person thinks they did something wrong, so they overperform, overdeliver, say yes to everything, hoping devotion will protect them. Often, it doesn't. And even if it does, the cost is their health. They didn't just work hard, they lived in constant bracing. They forced summer inside a season that was asking for consolidation. And you see it in the broader economy, where cycles are visible even to people who don't study them. There are expansion periods and contraction periods, booms and slowdowns, shifting consumer behavior, industry winters that make certain kinds of work harder for a while. In those moments, the most stable people aren't the ones who pretend nothing changed. They're the ones who adjust strategy without self-contempt. They don't confuse market weather with personal worth. This is why you feel what you feel right now, because your nervous system is interpreting contraction as danger, but your life may be offering contraction as a lesson in structure, a season that teaches you what you actually rely on, a season that exposes the leaks, a season that forces your money habits to mature, a season that asks you to build roots instead of chasing applause. Contraction isn't the opposite of wealth. It's the part of wealth most people skip until life makes them learn it. So what do you do when you realize you might be in a contraction season financially? You stop trying to manifest your way out of it with denial, and you stop punishing yourself with urgency. You start moving like someone who understands cycles. First, you take an honest inventory of what you've been avoiding looking at. Not to shame yourself, but to regain power. Contraction seasons often reveal the truth you couldn't see in expansion because money was moving fast enough to blur the edges. The subscriptions you forgot. The business expenses that don't return value. The lifestyle creep that happened quietly. The time leaks. The energy leaks. The places you spend to soothe stress. This isn't a moral audit. It's a clarity ritual. When you see what's real, your nervous system calms because uncertainty stops running the room. Then you consolidate your offers, your focus, your effort. In contraction, scattered energy becomes expensive. This is the season for fewer priorities, cleaner positioning, clearer value, tighter boundaries. If you're freelancing, that might mean reducing what you offer, so you deliver with excellence instead of exhaustion. If you're job searching, it might mean targeting roles that match your true strengths, instead of panic applying everywhere. If you're building a business, it might mean improving your core product instead of launching new things out of fear. You also build a runway, even if it's small. Contraction is where savings becomes medicine. It's where cash flow management becomes self-respect. It's where you stop pretending you're fine and start giving yourself structural support. You don't need perfection. You need a little breathing room. A buffer teaches the body safety, and safety makes better decisions possible. Another adjustment is replacing frantic output with skill deepening. When the world is quieter, your capacity to prepare gets louder. Contraction seasons are ideal for sharpening what will matter in expansion, learning a tool, improving your negotiation, refining your portfolio, building a system, strengthening your network with real relationships instead of transactional scrambling. This is how you turn quiet time into future leverage without forcing immediate results. And finally, you practice staying regulated while you wait. This is the hardest part because money pressure makes waiting feel humiliating. But cycles don't respond to panic. They respond to steadiness. You can keep moving without burning. You can keep applying without self-hatred. You can keep showing up without turning every no into a prophecy of doom. Contraction is not asking you to stop caring. It's asking you to stop overforcing. Because overforcing is how people destroy their future trying to protect their present. And this is where the transformation becomes visible. Not in your bank balance first, but in your body. Before, you were living in financial fight or flight. Constant scanning, constant urgency, constant self-judgment. You were trying to earn safety through speed, and the faster you moved, the more exhausted you became. You didn't just want money. You wanted relief. After something steadies, you still want growth, but you're no longer trying to force it out of panic. You start making decisions that your future self will thank you for. You stop using discounting as a survival reflex. You stop taking work that pays you in stress. You stop confusing a quiet season with a broken life. You begin to feel calm return. Not because everything is solved, but because you can read what season you're in. That calm creates trust. Trust creates clarity. Clarity creates self-respect. And self-respect is the foundation of sustainable wealth, because it keeps you from selling your health to finance a life you can't even enjoy. The internal shift comes first. Money often follows later, but the deeper miracle is that you stop abandoning yourself while you build. If you look at your finances right now, what would it mean to treat this as a contraction season instead of a personal failure? And what is one place you could consolidate this week? Expenses, focus, offers, or boundaries. So your money can rebuild without you bleeding yourself to prove worth. Your income doesn't always stall because you're doing it wrong. Sometimes it stalls because life is tightening the season around you. So you finally build roots deep enough to survive your next expansion. If this episode put language to what you've been living, share in the comments what your consolidation looks like right now and what you're choosing to stop overforcing. Subscribe if you want more grounded teachings that help you build wealth with rhythm so your Ning can expand without requiring you to collapse. This is Prophecy Pulse.